Heyo, I'm Baby Rizzo, and I'm here talking to the Void, because I don't know if anyone else is listening. And today I'm going to be talking about The Void, the movie The Void. Now, let me just start by saying I grew up on 80s movies, 80s horror, sci-fi. I'm a big fan, and they're kind of where I go to as sort of my sweet spot for movies. And when I first started seeing things about The Void, it was just looked like an 80s film I had missed, and kind of reminiscent of like some Ridley Scott or Clive Barker type practical effects. The part I was later surprised on is to learn that The Void actually came out in 2016, and everything else about it just had that look, so good on you, movie, you fooled me, touche. Even the poster looks very Cronenberg's version of The Fly sort of thing, a big triangle with tentacles coming out while the person stares into it. Okay, caught my attention. The Void is about a hospital that's shutting down due to a big fire that happened a while ago, and so they're transferring patients, but there's still a few people on hand. And then a cop brings in a injured man, and all hell breaks loose after that point. The injured man is no one knows who he is or where he came from, and soon thereafter, strange figures start descending on the hospital and preventing anyone from leaving, wearing hooded robes with a strange triangle shape on kind of the faceplate. And things get weird. Now, this movie is a very Lovecraftian sort of thing, so things get weird is kind of the general gist for how things end up going. People begin seeing things, going a little crazy, and sprouting tentacles, usually after they've already died and come back, when they're not carving off bits of their own flesh. It, this movie was definitely not typical, but at the same time, for movies of this type, similar to In the Mouth of Madness or John Carpenter's The Thing, it was kind of reminiscent in that regard. So it was some things I had kind of seen before, but in a newer time frame. That's was a good love letter to the classics, I suppose, is the best way of putting it. Uh, I enjoyed the film overall, I should say. It was a refreshing take, since a lot of modern horror films rely very heavily on CG, and this film, I don't think used any of it at all and relied completely on practical effects, and they did not skimp on monster design. They had some pretty hulking, tentacle, deformed creatures, so they went all out with the practical effects, and the gore effects were spot on. I will say the cast did a good job pulling it all together and maintaining an era of confusion, fear, and well, just trying to fight back against things they didn't understand. As the film goes on, it goes more into how one of the doctors is kind of a member of the cult and is sort of behind the events and seems to be trying to subvert mortality as well as resurrect the dead. This is where it kind of gets a little shaky, as while his motivations are a bit clear, as he talks about overcoming death or dying and then coming back, and he's trying to resurrect his dead daughter. It gets weird on how it goes about things. I can't exactly even sum up exactly how it does some of this parts, which is kind of part and parcel for Lovecraftian related things, but some parts of this did get a little shaky on me. Like, particularly in the beginning, the beginning does pack a good attention-catching punch. As the story goes along, it felt like I missed like 10-15 minutes of the film. Like, it was just more should have been there for build up on what the cult was and what they were trying to get into, so it didn't feel so odd. I mean, keeping a lot of it in the dark and mysterious was good, but overall, it just felt like it was lacking a little something therein. I give it all very high marks for, like I said, the practical effects, and while some of the creatures may not have been completely believable, it was good to see something physically there. And some of them did have a good air of menace about them. Uh, the film wasn't very scary overall, I will say. There was some creepy parts when they begin going into the basement of the hospital trying to get down to the morgue after one of their members gets missing and abducted by someone who supposedly was already dead. But overall, it didn't pack too much of a fear punch for me, though the effects were very good, and the acting, like I said, sold it pretty well. The weak point is a little bit of confusion towards the latter chapters as things just start happening with little. It's hard to follow exactly why some things were. As they're moving into the basement, some characters are insisting the basement, there shouldn't have been another flight of stairs further down, but at the same time, later on, other people are commenting that that's where the fire that everyone knows about happened. So, is whether it was either really well hidden or was a extra dimensional era is sort of up in the air, especially since when one person's running out of it, they seem to just phase through a wall and back into reality, for lack of a better term. So it gets a little disjointed towards the end, and the ending is. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's kind of trying to figure out exactly the implications therein are kind of hard to put together. What happens to some of them, you're not sure if it's a good thing, a bad thing, or both. Now, what's interesting in The Void is it was crowdfunded in 2016 by a Canadian independent group that before was known more for comedies. So the fact that they were able to get this off the ground just by fan demand and to deliver such a good product, definitely recommend it. I'd say check it out if you get a chance. Right now, I believe it's streaming several places. I know it's on both Tubi and Shudder right now. I don't know if it's anywhere else available, but that's where you should be able to find it. Alrighty, and I will say this is the kickoff episode for Talking to the Void. I'm going to be trying to do, for an inaugural thing, since it's the month of October, I'm going to be doing 31 movies in 31 days. Now, as this move, admittedly, as this video itself is being posted on the 3rd, it's going to be a little bit of a delay occasionally on when the videos are actually posted due to just whenever I get a chance to film. So I'm going to be quickly posting up 3 reviews to catch up, and I'm also going to be kicking off a sister series to this, which will go into the movies more in depth and with a little bit more style. So, but those are going to take a little bit longer to get running, so I probably won't have a chance until either later in the month or probably into November. So check those out once those get posted, and I hopefully will be talking to more than just the Void myself soon. Catch you later.